All right, let's dive into this explainer. So, if you're an Indian student heading over to Ireland, you are going to realize pretty quickly that there's really no national railway network connecting the rural towns and countryside. Whether you're planning to cruise the incredible Wild Atlantic Way, commute to a rural placement, or just visit friends a few counties over, renting a car isn't just some luxury, it is an absolute practical necessity. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The Irish car rental market is literally a minefield of specific rules that constantly catch international students completely off guard. We are talking about unwritten document requirements, absolutely wild young driver surcharges, and massive insurance holds that can instantly freeze your bank account. So today, we're unpacking the whole shebang. I'm going to show you exactly how to survive that rental desk and get on the road without destroying your student budget.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the driving license trap, age surcharges and hidden costs, the insurance excess trap, surviving narrow Irish roads, and finally, smart booking and savings. Let's jump right in.
Okay, trap number 1, the driving license. Now, legally speaking, a valid Indian driving license totally permits you to drive in Ireland for up to 12 months from the day you arrive and establish residency. But listen, there is a massive difference between what the law says and what actually happens when you're standing right there at the rental desk. Take Priya, for example. She's a student at UCD Dublin. Her Bengaluru-issued license was bilingual, so it had English and Kannada script. Because the rental staff there just aren't trained to read regional text, they immediately demanded an International Driving Permit, or IDP, and when she didn't have one, they flat out refused to hand over her confirmed rental car. She actually had to take a super expensive taxi and sort the whole mess out later with the Indian embassy. This is exactly the kind of visceral day-one nightmare you want to avoid. Rental desks at Dublin, Shannon, and Cork airports will routinely enforce this IDP rule without hesitation.
So, here is your absolute best cheat code to bypass Priya's situation. You've got to secure your international driving permit back in India before you travel. And it's actually a really straightforward process. Just hop onto the Parivahan Seva portal, fill in your details, pay a very reasonable fee of about 1,000 rupees, and then book an appointment at your local RTO. That's it. This simple document acts as a standardized, internationally readable translation of your license. Getting this sorted entirely eliminates the risk of being turned away at the desk. But remember, the IDP is literally just a translation. You must always present it right alongside your original Indian driving license. Never leave your original license sitting back at your dorm.
All right, let's talk about the math behind the age surcharge trap. You're browsing online and you spot this great advertised rate of, say, 35 euros a day. Sounds like a steal, right? But wait, if you're an Indian student arriving for a September intake, odds are you're somewhere between 22 and 24 years old. Well, drivers under 25 are hit with a mandatory young driver surcharge of 26 to 40 euros every single day. And yes, that is applied right on top of the base rate. So that 35 euro headline rate you were so excited about instantly balloons into a true student cost of 61 euros or more. That is literally a 74% price hike out of nowhere. So always use this true cost formula in your head. Base rate, plus the young driver surcharge, plus insurance.
When you look across the major players like Hertz, Avis, Budget, and Europcar, there are 2 absolute deal breakers you need to have in the back of your mind. First off, the strict legal minimum age to rent any car in Ireland is 21. If you're 20, there's just no way around it. You simply cannot rent a car, and you'll have to rely on buses, trains, or a friend who's a bit older. Second, and this is crucial, you must have held your full Indian license for at least 2 full years to even qualify. A learner's permit absolutely will not cut it. They will scrutinize the issue date on your license at the desk for sure, so make doubly sure you actually meet this requirement before putting any money down.
Okay, moving on to the third trap, which is honestly the biggest financial landmine of your trip, the insurance excess. All car rentals in Ireland legally come with basic third-party liability and a basic collision damage waiver, or CDW. But let's clarify what that basic CDW actually means. Deceptive name aside, it really only limits your liability for damage to the bodywork. We're talking panels and doors. It completely excludes the tires, windscreen cracks, and the entire undercarriage of the car. So if you accidentally scrape a stone wall on a tiny rural road or a rogue rock chips your glass, you are dangerously exposed and on the hook for a massive excess fee.
And how massive are we talking? Well, if you're relying strictly on that basic CDW, the rental company is going to lock this terrifying amount, up to 2,500 euros, and honestly, sometimes even up to 3,500 euros as a security hold on your credit card for the entire duration of your trip. Now, it's not a direct charge, but it absolutely blocks that amount from your available credit. If you're traveling with a standard student credit card that has a lower limit, a hold like this could max out your card instantly. That leaves you with literally zero funds for the rest of your holiday, groceries, or any emergency expenses.
So how on earth do you avoid getting caught in this? When you finally get to the desk, the agent is inevitably going to push their super CDW to magically bring that massive excess down to zero. But at up to 28 extra euros a day, it is a total budget killer. The smart move here is to protect yourself by buying a standalone third-party excess policy long before your trip even starts. Companies like AIG or Rental Cover offer these for just 3 to 7 euros a day. They reimburse you for any excess you get charged if there's an incident. Just keep in mind, with a standalone policy, you do still need a credit card with enough headroom to absorb that initial hold, but your actual financial liability is covered for a fraction of the desk price. Oh, and definitely check your premium Indian credit cards too. Cards like the HDFC Infinia or Axis Magnus sometimes actually include overseas car rental insurance if you pay for the entire rental with that specific card.
All right, let's shift gears from booking to actually hitting the road. The second you drive out of the airport, you're going to encounter nearly 2,000 of these scattered across Ireland. Roundabouts. It's a staggering number, honestly. Now, Indian drivers are totally used to driving on the left, which is fantastic. But Irish roundabouts have a very specific golden rule you need to lock into your brain right now. You must travel clockwise around the island, and you must give way to traffic coming from your right. This is literally the exact opposite of Indian roundabouts, where you give way to the left. Make a solid mental note of this before you even put the key in the ignition.
And those roundabout rules bring us nicely to our general survival guide for Irish roads. First up, muscle memory. To avoid unconsciously drifting into the center of the lane when you're in unfamiliar territory, you need to consciously remind yourself to keep the curb close on your left. Second, manual cars are way more common in Ireland, which means you'd be shifting gears with your left hand. If that makes you even a little bit nervous, just save yourself the stress and book an automatic. Third, keep an eye out for the 80 km/h limits on those super narrow, winding R roads in places like Kerry or Donegal. Honestly, you want to keep your speed well below that limit anyway. Finally, watch out for the M50 motorway circling Dublin. It has a completely barrier-free electronic toll that uses license plate recognition. There are absolutely no cash booths. You have to remember to pay it online at eflow.ie within 8 days, or you're going to get hit with a really nasty fine.
You've also got to brace yourself for the massive seasonal price shocks in the Irish market. During off-peak months, say February and March, the rates are incredibly cheap. We're talking 18 to 30 euros a day. But if you're looking at peak summer during July and August, that exact same economy car skyrockets to between 80 and 120 euros a day as tourist demand completely peaks. It's wild. This just proves exactly why you absolutely must book your summer road trips or field placements months in advance. Aim for 6 to 8 weeks out to lock in a price that's actually reasonable.
Let's talk about the long game with some smart booking hacks to stretch that budget. First rule, don't just book direct. Use comparison aggregators like Discover Cars or Auto Europe. They surface the real, all-in prices and can easily save you 15 to 25% right off the bat. Second, always select a full-to-full fuel policy. The full-to-empty alternative is basically a scam that pre-charges you for a full tank at terrible rates, which can tack on up to 90 extra euros to your final bill. Third, if you can swing it, take a quick bus or shuttle to a city center branch. The airport desks at Dublin, Shannon, and Cork sneak in a 12 to 17% airport concession fee that you can completely avoid just by renting a few kilometers down the road.
Okay, but what if you're settling in for a 2-year master's program or sticking around on a graduate permit? Remember, your Indian license is only valid for your first 12 months of residency. And unfortunately, India isn't on Ireland's recognized list for a direct, simple license swap. So you've got to go through the full Irish licensing process. That means passing the theory test, getting a learner permit, doing your essential driver training lessons, and finally passing the practical test. But hey, there is a silver lining here. If you've held your full Indian license for 2 or more years, the government actually reduces your mandatory training lessons from 12 down to just 6. If you're on a multi-year program, do yourself a favor and start this process around your 9th month so you don't end up with a frustrating gap in your driving privileges.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I've got one final question for you. Are you ready to beat these hidden traps and unlock the ultimate Irish road trip on a student budget? You literally have the entire blueprint now. You know how to navigate the license rules, dodge those sneaky age and insurance traps, and book like an absolute pro. To confidently start booking your trip without the fear of hidden surprises, and to find the absolute best time and price to fly out from India, I highly encourage you to check out MyFlightOffers.com. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Remember to stay safe out on those narrow roads, soak in that breathtaking Irish scenery, and keep learning.